It was an election that few expected to shake the foundations of Irish politics, yet in the end, it did exactly that. Catherine Connolly, a long-time independent voice in Irish politics, has made history by becoming Ireland's 10th president after a landslide victory over government-backed candidate Heather Humphreys. For many, this marks more than just a political win. It's a statement of change, a shift in Ireland's political mood, and perhaps a reflection of its people's growing appetite for independent, progressive leadership. Catherine Connolly, at 68 years old, is no stranger to public service. She has represented the Galway West constituency in the Dáil area, Ireland's national parliament, since 2016, and also served as Liachean Comhairle, or Deputy Speaker of the House. A trained barrister and seasoned political performer, Connolly's approach has always been rooted in community values, social equality, and independence from party control. Her election comes after a campaign that captured both national and international attention for its authenticity and clarity of message. Connolly ran as an independent left-wing candidate, with the backing of major opposition parties such as Sinn Féin, the Irish Labour Party, and the Social Democrats. From the outset, she positioned herself as an anti-establishment contender, one who would represent ordinary citizens rather than political elites. She often described her campaign not as a bid for power, but as a movement, emphasizing inclusion and reform. To even appear on Ireland's presidential ballot, candidates must secure the support of 20 members of parliament or 4 city or county councils. Connolly easily surpassed that threshold, collecting more than the required number of signatures even before Sinn Féin officially endorsed her midway through the campaign. Her path to the presidency was not crowded. Just 3 candidates initially stood: Connolly herself, Fine Gael's Heather Humphreys, and Fianna Fáil's Jim Gavin, the 2 latter representing Ireland's dominant centrist parties. However, Jim Gavin withdrew earlier this month, though his name remained on the ballot, and he ultimately received just 7.2% of the total vote. Connolly's combination of calm debating skills and a sharp communication strategy distinguished her from her rivals. Her social media campaign was particularly effective, polished, engaging, and deeply human. One viral video showed her casually performing football keepy-uppies and joining a basketball game with young voters, clips that quickly spread across Irish social media platforms, reinforcing her image as approachable, energetic, and relatable. Humphreys, on the other hand, struggled to connect with the public in the same way, and her campaign never generated comparable enthusiasm online or offline. Despite her widespread popularity, Connolly's campaign was not without its share of controversy. The most debated aspect centered around her foreign policy positions, particularly regarding the Israel-Hamas conflict. A consistent supporter of Palestinian rights, Connolly has long spoken against what she calls the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and has condemned the violence and suffering endured by civilians. Ireland, as a country, has traditionally taken a pro-Palestinian stance, often distinguishing itself from the foreign policy positions of the US and the UK. Her critics, however, argued that her comments sometimes blurred diplomatic lines. In one interview with BBC News Northern Ireland, Connolly described Hamas as part of the fabric of the Palestinian people, a statement that sparked debate among political commentators and government officials. Fine Gael members also questioned her views on NATO and her perceived lack of criticism toward Russia, accusing her of being too lenient in her assessments of global conflicts. Still, Connolly maintained that her presidency would be neutral and peace-oriented, consistent with Ireland's long-held policy of military neutrality. She repeatedly emphasized that, as president, her role would not involve making foreign policy decisions, but rather promoting dialogue and humanitarian values. Connolly's victory follows the 14-year presidency of Michael D. Higgins, one of Ireland's most beloved figures. Like Higgins, Connolly shares a passion for social justice, equality, and international solidarity. However, their history is complex. Connolly once served as a Labour Party councillor, but left the party after being excluded from the Galway electoral ticket alongside Higgins. That departure helped define her independent path, setting her apart from mainstream party politics. Observers now wonder how much her presidency will echo Higgins's tenure. Although both are aligned in values, Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald believes Connolly will make the role her own, calling her authentic, principled, and unafraid to speak truth to power. One of Connolly's strongest messages during her campaign was her commitment to Irish unity. She openly expressed her wish to see a united Ireland during her presidency, which will span 7 years. She even campaigned in Northern Ireland, emphasizing cooperation and reconciliation. This stance, strongly aligned with Sinn Féin's long-term goals, was likely a major factor in securing their support. Mary Lou MacDonald praised her for recognizing that the preparation for unity needs to happen now, highlighting Connolly's capacity to use the soft power of the presidency to encourage dialogue between communities across the island. Catherine Connolly's presidency promises to carry both symbolic and practical weight. While the Irish president's role is largely ceremonial, with limited executive authority, the position holds immense moral and cultural influence. She has already vowed to return a substantial portion of her €350,000 annual salary to local community projects, a gesture meant to reflect her values of public service and accountability. In her victory speech at Dublin Castle, Connolly called for a new republic scene, one grounded in inclusivity, equality, and sustainability. She declared her intent to be a president who listens and reflects and who speaks when necessary. She outlined 4 key priorities. 1. Preserving Ireland's non-aligned stance in global conflicts. 2nd. Addressing the existential threat of climate change. 3rd. Amplifying the voices of those left behind in modern Ireland. 4th. Supporting peaceful dialogue toward a shared future and national unity, Catherine Connolly's election signals a notable shift in Irish politics. Her rise reflects a growing desire among voters for authenticity, independence, and social conscience in leadership, a move away from traditional party dominance by Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Her presidency may not rewrite Ireland's laws, but it could reshape its tone. One that listens more, questions more, and stands firmly for humanitarian and progressive ideals on the world stage. As she concluded her speech before thousands at Dublin Castle, Connolly reminded her audience, "This is our moment to shape a new republic, one that listens, one that includes, and one that believes in peace." And with that, Ireland begins a new chapter, one led by a woman who built her movement not on political power, but on purpose.